Clay, representing the Green Party of Michigan. I wanted to ask you, sir, what is your name?
Oh yeah, I'm Ryan Teasdale, and I'm running for District 11, the congressional seat for U.S. Congress.
Okay, I wanted to know what is the purpose or what motivated you to do that?
Oh yeah, my old neighbor, her name is Sherry Wells. She's the state elections coordinator, and she learned about some projects that me and a group of individuals are working on around really getting people to want to disagree more respectfully. And after looking into the Green Party and what the values were, I saw that they aligned pretty much completely with the values that we have in the group that we're putting together around social action.
Okay, speaking on that social action, what do you value or what do you want to achieve or bring to the audience?
The thing that we would like the audience to take from that is we're looking to provide a path where people who are looking to do more for their community, for their neighbors, they have an easy way to do it. So many people these days have their own problems to worry about, and they've got their own kids and their own families to take care of that they don't necessarily have the time to look into ways that they can do better, because it's the norm not to do that. We're all looking to take care of what we need to take care of our own families, that there's not an avenue for us to do more. So that's the big thing that we're looking for, is to create paths for people to get out and do more for the community.
I want to know, what do you plan to do once you get in the office? What do you plan on doing? What is your first steps? I want to know that.
Good question. The first steps would be to take a deep dive into what all of the problems are that surround in our entire environment. The idea is, if once we get all of our problems on the table, we can start finding ways to basically cancel our problems out. By nature, I'm a lazy person, and I've found that the most effective way to solve a problem is with another problem. So the more problems we have, the more potential solutions we actually have, the way I look at it. So if we can get all the problems out on the table, we can start seeing what we can do to start crossing things off, and basically do twice the work when we're looking to solve the issues that affect all of us.
What happens when people come into a disagreement or don't really agree with whatever you're...
Perfect question. I have a background in mediation, and I think that one of the most important factors that a political candidate or an elected official can do is put value into their opposition's positions. So I would invite anyone that disagreed with what we're looking to do, our proposals, invite them to the table and have a collaborative problem-solving event where we try to figure out a way that we can come up with solutions that meet the needs of as many people involved, especially the people who disagree with us. Thank you for asking that.
What are challenges or things that you see, or racial injustice or anything that you see in Oakland County that needs to be addressed or needs to be talked about?
Yeah, so the interesting thing that I see about Oakland County, and I grew up in Waterford, Michigan, so it's even more visible there, is that Oakland County and Waterford, there's a wide range of wealth. So there's everything from Birmingham to Pontiac. In Waterford, it's right next to Pontiac, and there's a private airport there, and there's a lot of lakes. So there's a lot of out there, and there's a lot of poverty out there. So the things that I see that cover the wide range of financial stability is one thing that is everywhere is ethics in politics. So that's the main thing, is getting that out there so that people trust the system and want to actually go out and vote and participate in elections and things like that. Another thing that affects everyone is affordable housing, especially with, you've got your people living in affordable housing, and you've got the people developing affordable housing. So you've got both ends of the spectrum there. And the other thing that affects everyone is safety. So if we can put effort into making everyone more safe, it's just going to have a spiral effect, and it's going to take care of all of the other needs that affect not only Oakland County, but everyone all over the country.
All right. And I wanted to ask, Ryan, this is my last question, but I wanted to ask, so how you was talking to us about those challenges and those experience and your personal experience, I want to know, when you get into office, what would you do? How would you go about, what would that layout look like about you going about trying to help change those challenges for people in that community?
You know, this, I don't want to say this is not something that I've actually thought of a lot about. What I really am primarily focused on right now is the projects that me and a group of individuals are working on in Oakland County specifically, on the social action that we're working on. If we can take care of the things that our community needs, everything else is going to develop after that. So the thing that we're focusing on right now is blending communities. So blending backgrounds specifically. So getting people from different backgrounds, different perspectives, whether it's race, religion, or politics, communicating with each other, working together. We're putting on some projects right now where we're getting people from different backgrounds to do volunteer work together, having wellness fairs together, and doing social events. We're also hosting conversations we're calling them soft conversations on tough topics, where we're bringing people together from different perspectives on the sensitive topics that divide us to explain, this is why I feel the way I do about this subject. The first one we're doing is on diversity, equity, and inclusion. But we plan on doing it on all the things that divide us. But we're going to have people come in to explain the reasons why they feel the way that they do about these things without looking to convince other people that they're right or to look for validation. It's just simply capturing the reasons why people feel the way that they do on these things that divide us, so that we can share this content with people. And then if things go well, we'll figure out a way how we can make those solutions that everyone agrees on.
Yes, sir.
I'm Shania Clay. I'm part of the Green Party of Michigan. I just want to ask you, Clyde, what are you running for?
I'm running for the U.S. Congress in the 6th District against Debbie Dingell. And I'm running on a platform of lineage-based cash reparations for foundational Black Americans. I'm also running to push and promote a federal anti-foundational Black American hate crimes agenda, as well as getting FBA, or Foundational Black American, designated on the U.S. 2030 census. But if you want to relate to some of the things that I'm running on locally, I'm also looking to push UBI, or Universal Basic Income. That's a concept where if you are a working class person, age 18 to 65, and you're working full time in the United States, you would get an additional $1,000 a month in UBI, or Universal Basic Income, for the work that you do. And again, this is if you make $65,000 a year or less. And that would also cover all working class Americans, and there's about 135 million of them. And that would include things like for universal health care, universal child care, and that $1,000 a month check would kind of help people, pay their monthly bills and the like, and that sort of thing. So I'm running on that agenda against my opponent, Debbie Dingell, who's been in Congress for probably a good 30 years, and she hasn't done much for the working classes of this country.
I have another question. So when you say the hate crimes against
FBAs?
FBAs.
Yes.
Speak a little bit more on that, about the agenda. I want to know about that.
Thank you very much for that question. Well, FBA, or Foundational Black American, it's a terminology that's being used by more and more Black Americans to describe our unique lineage in the United States. Meaning, if you can trace your lineage back to the beginning of America through chattel slavery, unique to this country, and you don't have an immigrant background, then you are indeed a foundational Black American. And one of the things that we've noticed in the last 60 years or so, because our ancestors fought in the 60s to get what's called the Hart-Celler Immigration Reform Act. Hart, H-A-R-T, hyphen Celler, C-E-L-L-A-R. It's an act where it allowed more immigrants from Africa and the Caribbean to come over here, started in 1965, because up until that point, only about 100 were allowed to come over to the United States. But since that time, we've had an influx, and now we're up to about 5 million, or 10% of the immigrants in the United States are of African or Caribbean descent. But a lot of times when we use the term African American, they're lumped into the same category with us. And it doesn't allow us, our unique group, to get specific tangibles for us, like scholarships for young people, business loans, and that sort of thing. So that's why we came up with the terminology foundational Black American. We simply put the word foundational to describe our unique lineage so we could get benefits and tangibles specific and unique to us only.
Clyde, I agree with that right there, right on cue. Okay, I'll have one more question. So, how did you got into the party of the Green Party, and what is your inspiration behind it? What is your motivation? What's keeping you to thrive?
Great question. Well, one of the things I became involved with the Green Party in 2008 when a brilliant Black woman by the name of Dr. Cynthia McKinney, who's a former Democrat, but when the Democratic Party started playing dirty politics with her, and she left the party and decided to come over and join the Green Party, and she and I talked, and she had decided to run for our presidential candidate, and this was back in 2008. And I was so inspired by her, I joined and ran that year in 2008 against the former, now deceased Congressman John Conyers. And I was just inspired by her so much, and I saw the need for it. And then I just saw how the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, but the Black community voting 90% Democrat mostly all the time, and how we're disrespected. I was motivated to get in the Green Party and join so I can convince more foundational Black Americans to consider the Green Party as an alternative to the two-party duopoly of the Democrats and the Republicans.
Okay, I got you. So I'm a little bit of a conspiracy theorist myself, a little bit. So what do you want to see, or what you wanted to implement in the goal for 2030? Like the principles, the agenda. What do you see pictured for Black people?
Well, if you say out to 2030, by that time, hopefully by 2028, we'll have a Green Party president. And that Green Party president will be someone that will sign off by executive order on lineage-based cash reparations for us. Also, like I said earlier, that federal designation on the 2030 census for foundational Black Americans as our own unique lineage and group.
During your campaigning, what do you think you're going to promote the most?
I'm definitely going to promote the social justice aspect behind my U.S. congressional campaign against Debbie Dingell, but universal basic income, or that money for the working classes, the masses of 135 million working class Americans, and definitely lineage-based cash reparations for foundational Black Americans. That'll be the cornerstone, if you will, of my campaign and my outreach to the community.
How would you face a challenge of someone disagreeing with you or not understanding of your agenda? How would you go about that?
Great question. So I use something that I call my basic ability to use facts, data, and statistics, which is basically logic, versus emotion, because most of the talking points that I speak from, they're very well researched. So I know a lot of people, a lot of times, they just speak from emotion, and it's from their own anecdotal experience. That word anecdotal means something that's unique to them, but it's not emblematic of the full totality of the millions of people. So I'm very well researched because I've got 40 years of activism in the reparations and the social justice movement. And plus I'm not tooting my horn, but I'm well learned and well versed on these subjects. So I've done the research basically. And I just used a very holistic, just talking to an everyday man and woman common sense approach to see that they can come around to my point of view, that I'm talking from a talking point of bringing something good to the community.
I have one more question. So what would be your main push towards younger audience, and how would you get them to contribute or look in your direction of your agendas?
Great question. Well, young people, especially those 16 to 25, that's the group I think most definitely needs to be involved with the Green Party, because you all are the future. And I think the Green Party is the perfect party as we're 26 years into the 21st century. I call this the rocket age. The Democrat and the Republican Party are vestiges of the old America. You know what I'm saying? Here it is, we're shooting human beings and rockets into outer space daily. and we're still dealing with these old social issues, the environment, racism and that sort of thing, and we want to get past that so we can start focusing on futuristic things. And I believe the Green Party, reaching out to young people through social media, of course, and giving you all a voice to echo what the elders like myself are saying that you're in agreement with. I think that's the best way we all can join hands and join forces together to push these ideas and these agendas through. Thank you so much for your time.
Hello, I am Shania. I am part of the Green Party, and I wanted to ask, what is your name?
My name is Shafina Barnett.
Alrighty, and I want to know, what district are you running for?
I'm running for 4th Congressional District.
So I wanted to ask, what is your motivation, or what convinced you to go into the Green Party of Michigan, and what convinced you to run for?
Well, I'm not a career politician. I'm just an everyday, hardworking person. I believe in supporting small businesses, school support, and just working towards everyday family challenges. So I'm eager to make a difference and stand up for what's right.
So I wanted to ask, what is the challenges you see, or the hardship that you see in your city or your town where you're from?
Okay, well, I'm also a realtor. I see that it's hard for first-time home buyers to get approved for housing, to far as low-income, housing, and far as school districts, around for our kids to be able to have transportation to school, have schools in their areas, and things like that.
Okay. My next question for you is, what are some of the things that you're going to implement in your agenda for the campaign that you're running for? And I wanted to know, what is your inspiration behind that? What is your motivator? How are you going to speak to these young audience that you're looking for?
Well, I understand, far as I've been through what they've been through. I'm not, like I said, I'm not a politician. I'm just an everyday person where I do understand what's going on. Like I said, if I'm sitting high, I'm definitely going to go low. If I'm watching high, I'm definitely going to go low. I'm not going to just stand up and not fall down with them and bring them up. So I think that once we all become one and we bring each other together and pull each other up, it'll be a better community first with everyone, not just a particular person or particular party.
So I have one more question for you. I wanted to know, how would you go about if someone disagrees with your ideology? What happens if somebody just don't really understand, or what happens if somebody has a question? How would you go about answering their question or helping them out with what you got going on?
Well, first I will try to get them to understand. I will try to listen. I like to hear, the opinions and everybody's point of view, and then I'll incorporate mine. And then if we can't come to a mutual ground, that's okay. But at least if I can save some, if not all, I'm good with that.
Thank you. I also have one more question. So I heard that she was talking about on the podium, I heard that she was talking about the injustice as far as kids and gun safety and stuff. So how do you go about implementing that into your agenda? I wanted to know that.
Well, I suffer from that. I lost my daughter to gun violence. So I definitely will promote gun safety. Getting the guns off the street, as far as community organizations opening up things for the kids to get involved in, because I was a cheer coach as well. I had a store where I was a mentor for girls. I had a mentorship program. So I definitely want to see more of that, community involvement with the kids. So that's one of the things that I really, want to support, just getting the kids together, starting from small before they even reach a level where they looking at guns. We want to save them before they even get to that.
Hi, I am Shania Clay. I am a reporter for the Michigan Green Party community. I will be interviewing, what is your name?
My name is Brenda K. Sanders.
And I also want to know, what are you running for?
I'm running for the United States. It's a federal office, House of Representatives, Congress.
So, in that field that you're going into, what all are you looking to achieve, or what all are you looking to change in that campaign that you're doing for that?
Well, this is my second time, maybe third time, actually running for Congress. I would like to incentivize the voters by proposing that Election Day be made a federal holiday. And that would certainly, hopefully, promote voter participation. You know, they have the day off. It's a holiday, but you have something to do. And so it also kind of will spur, hopefully, their interest in going to the polls, because they don't have anything else to do. So many times I have left my job, you know, tired, and I'm like, do I really want to go vote? You know, I'm debating it. And so I want to, if I can, give the voters the full attention of the polls on Election Day. And I could do that by proposing a federal law to change it into a holiday.
Okay, so I also want to know, like, what are some things or some things that you want to add into your campaign? What are some things that you're looking to promote? Which age group are you wanting to target?
I always target all voters. I never want to target a group, all voters. And I want to make sure, there was an announcement by U.S. House Speaker Mike Johnson recently that he wanted to reform entitlement programs such as Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. And I am totally against that. I am fighting for the people, those that have been getting their entitlements, to keep and maintain their entitlements, even if there is a 6-year space of time in which they want to end the entitlements. I also want to propose that the federal minimum wage be increased to $25 an hour to keep up with the cost of living.
Okay, so how would you incorporate these big changes that you're talking about? How would you incorporate that into small increments, which will channel into bigger ideas and bigger things going into the community?
Well, I would do it by promoting it, first of all, through my campaign, which I'm doing now, and going into the voter groups and talking about it with the voters. I think that is how I will initiate these proposals. And then, of course, if elected, I will take it to the House floor in Congress.
How would you work or help them to understand where you're coming from?
Okay. Well, the art of persuasion is my vocation as an attorney. Just basically explaining it in a way where people can understand it. They may be resistant at first to these ideas, and many have been favorable. But to those who are resistant, just continue my skill of persuasion in getting these things done. And I think my skill of persuasion will be most important on the House floor, persuading my fellow Congress persons to vote for such proposals and vote them into a proposed bill that would go to the Senate for law, to be signed into a law.
So I want to know, what are some main key components that you really want to bring or you really want to show out and show big on your campaign?
Okay, well, first of all, voter participation in the Wayne County, Oakland County area, I'll just say Wayne County, there's been a low voter turnout in the last few years. I think that if the voters are interested in their personal well-being being improved, they're going to get out to vote. They're going to get out to vote if they think they're going to make more money. They're going to get out to vote if they think their health care is going to be improved. They're going to get out to vote if they believe that they're going to get like federal holidays and paid time, and that their family is going to be, overall improved by the laws that I'm proposing.
Okay. Hello, I am Shania Clay, and I am the reporter for the Green Party. I wanted to know, what is your name?
My name's Eric Borregard, and I'm running for Michigan Secretary of State.
Alrighty, so what are the challenges, or what are the things that you want to tell to the audience that you are running for and running to achieve, hoping to accomplish something greater, something big, and what do you want to push in your campaign?
Well, I believe there's a lack of democracy, and it's primarily our electoral system and the way we run our campaigns. For example, I'm for ranked choice voting. The problem with the first past the post thing is it's easily manipulated by money. And another thing I'm for increasing the size of the legislature. For example, in 1910, the Congress every year before that had increased the amount of congressmen in Congress. Until now, you're around 400 members of Congress, 460 members of Congress. The reason they don't increase it is because they basically froze it to a certain size. Now, if you had kept increasing it like they had since the 1790s, every 4 years based on population, we'd have about 2,500 congresspeople, which would mean more democracy, not frozen 115 years ago at 350. That's 350 pockets. Millionaires can put money in and control the government. It would have cost them a lot more money to get 2,000, and it was immediately, another thing is the districts themselves. You had a representative, you got to know him. Now you have large multi-county districts, and you can never, who's your congressman? He's off in Washington, he has an office, he can't see everybody, so you don't have any representatives in Washington, so democracy is a big one.
I have another question for you. So how do you feel about teenagers and especially from 16, the youngest at 16, how do you feel about not implementing learning how to do taxes and learning how to be in the more adult lighting with coming to politics? Most teenagers don't know how to do taxes or anything, and nor is that being pushed in the school system. So how do you think, what is the process, or what is your ideal of that, and how you're going to implement that into a school system for the future generation?
A lot of the problems we have in our electoral system and in society in general when it comes to government is apathy. People feel that they can't change things, their voice doesn't matter, and so half the people don't vote. So really that's the problem of the system, not them. They believe in democracy, but they don't get one because it's being gamed by the two major parties. One of the things you could do is you could lower the voting age to 16, so that by the time you're in junior high, you're always thinking about voting, and it's more, immediate to you. So your apathy would be from a young age, you're not as apathetic. You feel you can have power over the system, and by the time you're 18, you're thinking about running. Now, a lot of people who are in last year of their high school, they don't realize they could start running for public office. They could run for the very school board. If they had problems in school, they could go and run to be on the school board. And they have all their friends at school. They could be networking and say, hey, when I get out of here, I'm going to change things. So that feeling of change is eliminated by the system. We have a small group of people, coming in with large media corporations who have cross-promotion between the debates and large corporations that sponsor them, that sponsor their campaigns, and people just start to give up. There's only so many punches in the stomach the public can take, and until I don't vote, it isn't relevant to me, and in a sense they are right, because the system has been so corrupted since the early founding fathers.
So I also want to ask you, how would you get more younger people, middle-aged, and elderly people to vote? What is your thoughts on that, on agenda or a process on how you're going to get them to vote?
Well, you can't make people vote. You can do what the Democrats have done and stuff the ballot box. For example, I just moved, and I had voted on June 30th in my one address. They sent me a mail-in ballot, and then in the next 10 days I had moved, and so I got my little sticker on my license that I changed, and I also got another ballot. Now, The Democrats, they're handing out the ballots like candy. Now, I like the idea of more people voting, but they have to vote because they want to vote. Why don't you make a system they want to vote that's more participatory, that doesn't put the debates behind the barbed wire fences of a big television station like Channel 7 or Woods Broadcasting in Grand Rapids?
So, what challenges or what do you see being a challenge for you running in your campaign, or what can you see be the biggest issue that you want to address in your campaign?
Well, I think apathy has always been the big issue. I think that's what got me into politics. That's what got me into third-party politics. When you go to for example, when I went to the Democratic Party, they immediately just want you sort of as a backdrop or somebody to volunteer for one of their campaigns. If you drop out, that's okay, fine. And they're fine for you to come to the big meeting and donate, but they're not big for you to get involved. Like, oh, you going to run too? Oh, no, I just need your vote. And it constantly hits you. Your mailbox is like stuff blowing, waves of give me money, give me money, give me money. It needs to go the other way. It needs to come from the people, but not the money people. It needs to come from people who have real issues and are struggling in life. And that's why I'm in the Green Party, and that's why I would encourage everybody to join the Green Party.
What happens if someone just doesn't understand or don't want to participate in the campaign that you are uplifting to the community?
Well, so I would say I believe in the people. Everybody has a different perspective, and I respect that. Sometimes I think that the most right-wing people have a lot in common with the most left-wing people, because they're angry and they're disillusioned by the system. And why are they being disillusioned? It's the center that's being controlled by very powerful interests. I think when the far right and the far left join together, I think they're going to actually have a democratic revolution in this country, and I think you'll have more of an authentic democracy. I think that's more important instead of the synthesized plastic crap that comes out of the large corporations.
So, one more question. So, with your campaign, what are you looking to push out to? What audience are you targeting? Are you targeting all audiences? Are you targeting a specific audience? I want to know that.
Well, I think that the economic system has created a huge underclass, I'd say. They're the people I'm most concerned about. What you have is a huge discrepancy. 1% of the population having so much more power. It's probably going to become 0.5%, a couple trillionaires, and a lot of people struggling at the bottom and can never find. And a lot of things like the crime and stuff, it all relates to the disillusionment in society. The drugs basically is, I don't have any power, I don't care, and it's just like, with the system we have now, breeds this desolation and a pit of despair. And I think what you need is this upwelding of that. We're going to overcome this. I hope. So, like Jesse Jackson said, keep hope alive. Well, he's gone, but we can keep the hope alive still, I think.
So I also have one question. I have one more question. So what are the laws what are the things you want to implement in your campaign? What are some regulations you want to put in your campaign? I wanted to know that.
I think what the problem is we try to do too much. So a lot of times when people have like a huge thing, I'll say like, well, why don't we do nothing? Sometimes the things that we're doing actually create the problems, that we have more. So, like let's say pollution. Because we try to do so much instead of trying to do less, when less is the solution to that, you see what I'm saying? The war, we have more and more wars. Instead of doing less, maybe we'd have more and more peace. So sometimes the biggest advocacy you can have is doing nothing. And so a lot of these issues some things I do. You can say you're for pollution, but really what you're saying is I'm for doing less so we have better environment. So it's a business mindset. We're filling ourselves with a lot of stuff. And we also need to empty ourselves of stuff so we can really find out who we are.
What district are you running for?
Sure, I'm running for the U.S. Representative of Michigan, District number 10.
And what is your name?
My name is Kwabena Nkromo, but my friends and my constituents call me Cubby.
Do you mind if I call you Cubby?
No, please.
Alrighty. I wanted to know what is the biggest challenges you see, or what is the biggest racism or injustice that you see in your community in Flint?
Yeah. So I live in Flint, Michigan, and all around us is some of the most beautiful, healthy water in the world, in the Great Lakes, but not in Flint. You know, our water still has lead. And so that's at the top of my constituents' concern. I'm running for District 10, which is not including Flint, unfortunately, but it's close enough. It's literally due east, very next door. So I will be living in the District 10, you know, over the next, but I'm focused on the region because the issues going on in Flint are really endemic to Michigan's lack of a strategy about how to take its citizens into the next century, being relevant to the world that we're living in now. As you know, Michigan has a tradition of automobile industry, but in the future we have AI, we have green economy. There's a lot of opportunities for Flint and other folks in Michigan to be prepared for what's coming, and that's what I want to be a part of, helping lead as the congressional representative for District 10.
So what is your campaign more centered around? I wanted to know that.
Yeah. So we are about economic development, but we are focused on economic development that is controlled and owned by the people. So that's sort of a grassroots up economic strategy. And we're focused on, ironically, growing food in Michigan. Now, Michigan has always been a breadbasket of the country, but we're interested in the cities being part of this process as well, not just a rural area. And that happens when you grow food in neighborhoods and shrink the distance between where the food is grown and where it's consumed. You're creating economic value by the distance being shortened. We don't use as much oil, and we also get higher nutrition because people are getting the food as fresh as possible. We want young people to have the option to become farmers right in the neighborhoods they grew up in, and then that the food they grow goes to the restaurants, to the school cafeterias, and even to places like the movies. Like, we can have places where food that you know that your friends grew is what you can buy when you go to a store. And that, to me, is real economic development because we control it, and if we want to shrink it or expand it, it's up to us, and we don't have to be dependent upon big corporations that don't care about Michigan.
Okay, so I have a question. So how do you going to promote the economics system of planting and agriculture into the community of the younger generations?
Yeah, no.
So how would you implement that and campaign that to younger audiences?
Yeah, no, great. Ironically, you know, we believe that it's already being done. So the culture of hip-hop and the culture of being irreverent is already happening. In Atlanta, where I was recently living, I don't know if you know CeeLo Green. So that guy is actually rapping about it and putting greenhouses in schools as part of hip-hop, saying, hey, we're not just about partying, we're also about living better. And so even Jay-Z, Beyonce, people are following Michelle Obama's example about putting a garden in the White House and talking about and rapping and communicating about food being delicious, being healthy, and being empowering. So I believe following up on that with practical strategies that come from offices like the mayor, the county commissioner, and of course at the congressional level, I can work with the USDA to make more funding available to train young people to become farmers. So that's the combination of culture and the combination of public policy awareness is what I plan to focus on.
Okay, from me being a little kid and about the food getting a little bit more healthier, how would you view, well, my opinion personally is that the food, even though it was healthy, it was pretty nasty.
Yeah.
So how would you combat that? Because most kids won't eat it because it doesn't taste good.
Yeah.
It's healthy, but it doesn't taste good.
So the taste that we associate with being good is usually salt and sugar. The tongue is, sort of because of evolution, drawn toward the things that have those ingredients in a high quantity. Unfortunately, those things cause us health problems, diabetes, hypertension, all those kind of things. So what I've found is that if food being grown yourself is introduced to young people in school as not an abstract idea of what you should do, but actually something they experience. So we want a garden in every public school. And instead of going to recess all 7 days or going to PE, that you get a chance to go outside and put a tomato in the ground. I know from personal experience that when a child grows a thing, it will eat it. The child will eat it. Does that make sense? I mean, they have ownership of it. So when you put a tomato in your mouth that you grew, it tastes better than anything you've ever had. And so if we do that, it's not going to be 100% successful. But say 60% of the children, 50% get accustomed to tasting that fresh deliciousness, they won't stop when they get older. It's not coming from a lawmaker, it's coming from consumer behavior. So if we get enough of what's called a critical mass of people doing a better thing, most times in society and human culture, people just join in. Yeah.
Alrighty. Thank you, Cubby, for talking, and I appreciate that.
Thank you. Have a good day.
This is Shania signing off in the green.